Hello and welcome to Make a Difference, the show devoted to volunteers and volunteerism in Montgomery County. I'm Michael Bruen, sitting in for Bonnie Jo Ayers. The mission of the organization known as A Wider Circle is to end poverty. They work in partnership with other social service organizations to ensure that every child and adult has a chance to succeed and the opportunity to live well. Each day, A Wider Circle provides basic need items to families transitioning out of shelters or simply living without life's necessities. They furnish the homes of more than 1,000 children and adults every single month, all free of charge. They go into low-income schools and shelters to lead educational workshops on topics ranging from healthy self-esteem and stress management to resume writing and financial planning. They go where the needs are greatest and do what is most needed. That's why it's appropriate that A Wider Circle is again coordinating this year's Holiday Giving Project. In just a minute, we'll hear more about A Wider Circle, the upcoming season of giving, and how you can be involved. But first, here are some other opportunities for services available throughout the county through the Volunteer Center. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Make a Difference, the show devoted to volunteers and volunteerism in Montgomery County. I'm Michael Bruen. Today we're joined by Dr. Mark Bergel, founder and executive director of A Wider Circle, and Susan Klavon, the Holiday Giving Project coordinator. And Mark and Susan, welcome to Make a Difference.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having us.
Mark, let's start just with, if people are new to the county, your organization is well known, but if someone's moving in or they're new to the county, what is A Wider Circle?
Sure, we're a grassroots nonprofit organization, which means fittingly that we count on volunteers to do most of the work that we do. So like you said in the introduction, we furnish the homes of 1,000 children and adults every single month. We get furniture from people throughout the region, most of which come from Montgomery County. So we get that furniture from families, and that includes dishes, pots, and pans, as well as beds, dressers, tables, and chairs. We get it from people who have more than they need, and we give it to people who have nothing, and they get it free of charge. And these families that come to us in need have an average income of about $12,000 per year.
Oh dear.
And that includes all forms of assistance. And
In this area?
In this area.
Yeah.
And that's an average family size of 4. So they're so far below the poverty line, they can't even see it. And even if they were above the poverty line just a little bit, they'd still be in tremendous need, certainly in this county. So we see those people in great numbers every day, and these are folks, most of whom have been in poverty since birth. That's the number one reason people tell me they're in poverty, birth. And then the number one reason they get out of it is support. And that support comes in the form of goods or time or funds or however people can get engaged in helping those in need. We believe, of course, that this is a region, and especially this county, where poverty should be eradicated. We should be able to show the country how you eradicate poverty. So that's what we do. And then we also, of course, teach people how to get jobs with writing resumes and doing interviews. And then a good segue into our holiday program is we try to match people who are in poverty with people who are not. For so many people who live in poverty, it's like living in a different world. And they need a bridge to this world, and that bridge is people. And so that's what we do.
Susan, Mark just brought it up, so tell me about this project.
Right. So the Holiday Giving Project has been operating in the county for over 30 years, and A Wider Circle's been coordinating it for 3. And as Mark described, a lot of these families are having such a challenging time meeting their daily needs. And so when the holidays come, what do they do? And so the Holiday Giving Project helps families with both Thanksgiving and the December holidays.
How?
We have wonderful volunteers and over 20 organizations now who adopt zip codes in the county for the holidays, and then they get donations, they get volunteers, and they put together assistance for these families and then work with the families so that the families can get it, and that way they can celebrate Thanksgiving and
how are
December.
you identifying these families? Are these people who are involved with A Wider Circle, or are you getting this from a database?
The families are, we work with over 40 different referring agencies in the county.
I see.
And one of the reasons that's so important is because the Holiday Giving Project is working just for the holidays, and we recognize that families may need help at other points in the year. So if they're connected with an agency, they can go back to that agency for help, at a different point in the year.
And give me some numbers. So how many people are assisted?
Sure. Last year we ended up with over 10,000 referrals, and some of those are duplicates because people will intersect with several agencies at the same time.
10,000 in the county?
10,000 households. households, and that's
Households in Montgomery County.
in Montgomery
Oh,
County.
dear.
And so we served around 8,000 households last year. For Thanksgiving, that was around 31,000 people.
Wow.
So
And
it's-
before we get into more history, if people want more information, is there a phone number and a website?
Sure, they can go to awidercircle.org, and there'll be a link right on the homepage where they can access anything holiday program.
And if they don't have access to a computer, is there a phone number that people
Sure.
can?
Yeah, my phone number for all things holiday giving is 240-687-9629.
Good, good, good. And
Yeah.
I know, Mark, you were talking about other services besides the furniture and things, but that's a physical location that people can go.
Right, right.
Can you talk a little bit, I mean,
Sure.
if they're listening?
Sure, so if people wanted to drop off items instead of having us come pick them up, because we do come pick up at homes. So we'll go into your basement, your attic, your second floor, and we'll only take the things you ask us to take, because otherwise that's not a very nice journey. But when we do that, we have these great guys, and the guys not only are strong enough to do it, they have the will to do it, and they have the compassion. So they explain to people who donate where the stuff is going and how quickly
Yeah.
that stuff will find a new home. But if people want to drop off, we're open 7 days a week, 365 days a year
Where?
in Silver Spring, Maryland. So the address is 9159 Brookville Road,
Okay.
Silver Spring 20910.
And it's impressive. I mean, it's quite a space. It's
We have
got a
about
lot of things.
25,000 square feet,
Yeah.
including a new space for business attire. So that jacket and tie would
Oh,
look
good.
really good
for people,
there.
exactly, so that people could.
What I'm saying though is that jacket and
Yeah.
tie. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. But
this is why you're the founder of this organization.
But in truth, we're open every day. None of the people we serve over the holidays or any day of the year are out of poverty on Sunday, or out of poverty on Christmas, or out of poverty on New Year's, or any day. So we're open every day, and people can drop off any day, and people can volunteer any day.
Yeah.
And we have volunteers who are 3 years old and 93 years old.
Yeah.
So it's really a great community place. And I'll just comment one thing on the holiday program. I like to think of it as the great collaboration. Nonprofit organizations are always encouraged to collaborate. Well, this is the great collaboration.
True.
We get a chance to work with agencies in Gaithersburg and Germantown, and I always am filled with admiration for how hard some of these organizations work just for the holidays, just to make sure that every family can wake up on their holiday and open their presents and feel the same way that any young person in Rockville, Potomac, Bethesda, Chevy Chase feels.
And Susan, tell me, if I'm interested in participating in coordinating, you mentioned zip codes and things. Elaborate more on that.
Sure.
What would be required from me?
Sure. Probably the best thing to do is to give me a call to start out with, because we are working throughout the county. Some people who call me want to work in their immediate community, and in that case I would link them up with the organization helping
I
their
see.
community. And we also have some underserved areas where we really have a need for donations and people to get involved and help. And so some people who call are really interested in that, and so I get them linked in that direction, and I oversee that, and we make matches and we get things to work out. So there are lots of opportunities, and it's just, I go through a list of questions with anybody who calls me and try and get them matched with where they feel like they're going to have the greatest input.
And do you get, let's say I'm interested in a particular zip code, my neighborhood.
Sure.
And then other people call with that. Do you get us to connect with each other so that there's a synergy going on?
Well, if as we mentioned, we have over 20 organizations working throughout the county. So if there is an organization already working in your community, I will put you in touch with them, and then there would be a dialogue as to how you could get involved.
Wonderful, wonderful. And just so that people can have the telephone number again?
Sure.
Could you
It's
give that out to someone?
240-687-9629.
Okay. And this is beginning from when to when? I assume you said
Sure.
Thanksgiving to the
Sure.
December holidays?
No, starting November 1st is when we are really looking at the list of families who've been referred to us. We're making all of our preparations for Thanksgiving, so that's a great time for people to get involved for Thanksgiving. All through the month of November until Thanksgiving, about a week before Thanksgiving, we're focused on that. If people want to come on board at that time for the December holidays, we welcome them. December 1, as soon as that rolls around, all of our focus is on the December holidays, and we have people coming on board to help families up until around December 15th, and sometimes later.
Okay.
But we have individuals, we have families, we have neighborhoods, we have Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops, businesses. So it's really a great opportunity to work with folks in your own circle of influence to really make a difference in the community.
I would add that we have, for Thanksgiving alone, we still have 270 households for which we need coverage. And for the December holidays, we still have 1,000 households. So if people or groups churches, temples, businesses, teams want to get involved, the best thing to do is to call early so Susan can fill up that list and we don't have to worry and maybe panic at the last second. Uh-oh, we have 200 households that aren't going to get anything. So call now, call often, tell your friends, but signing up early in the season is a great way to go.
Well, and we were talking, you were mentioning in the green room too that the holiday season is very intensive and it's psychologically incredibly important, I think, for these families to be able to celebrate, but there are year-round needs.
Sure.
Tell me more about that.
I really like the holiday program also as a kickoff for people to connect with those families in need. In other words, when I was talking about being a bridge for a family into the world where you are not in poverty, where you can go to a restaurant every once in a while, where you don't have to depend on other people for your basic needs, I think the holiday can start that off. So I like for people who get involved in the holidays and maybe sponsor a family or sponsor a group of families to try to stay with those families long term. That's my dream for the holiday program, is that everybody who gets involved for the long run. Because January 15th, January 25th, February 15th, just as much need as December 25th.
Yeah, yeah. And what I really appreciate too, I mean, you've all been on before, but your organization, you were mentioning the guys and the men and women who pick up things, but there's a real passion in the staff at Wider Circle. It's not, it's different organization. I mean, there really is something to it. Everyone who's there.
Your words to start the show that our mission is to end poverty, that doesn't happen unless there's a lot of passion and a lot of commitment. I look at this as a movement, much like the civil rights movement. We can't be a service provider who just provides a service and calls it a good day or a good career. We have to be about something bigger because we don't want to do this. I don't want to come on here and say, hey, we need people to help people get their presents for the holidays. I want those families to be able to do it for themselves. Right now they need help. But 10 years from now, 5 years from now, I hope they don't. So that's the commitment we like to make.
And have you seen, I mean, you founded this, Mark. Have you seen changes?
I've seen people get out of poverty.
Optimistic in your efforts?
I'm very optimistic because I have people like Susan on the team. I mean, the one thing that won't come out in this interview is how amazing she is. I mean, she almost is the county holiday program, but I won't embarrass you. So what I will say, though,
I will. I can.
There are people who I've seen get out of poverty, and there are people who I've seen not get out of poverty, and the people who get out of it have wraparound support. They have us helping them in every way, because if you just give people stuff, or even if you just give people money, that's not enough. They're in poverty for deep reasons, and so we need to wrap around them.
And it's a long-term cause that's
Exactly
going to need some intensive change.
And that's why it doesn't happen, I think, up till now. That's why it's been almost a part of our culture. We think it's always going to be there, because it does take a while. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
Correct.
People think we shouldn't say we're going to end poverty because we're going to fail, and if we fail, then people who are listening might not say, I'm going to stick with that because I don't see the results. We have to stick with it. We have to follow the ideal that in this county, we should be a model for what the country should be like, especially in this county. And ending poverty is surely at the beginning of being a model.
Yeah, well, both of you are just wonderful to have on. And you know what? Maybe the middle of next spring is a time when we should come on again and not just talk about the holiday giving, but great success, I hope, for your project and for all the people you're serving.
Thank you.
And for founding this, Mark, Susan, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
And thank you guys for watching. To become involved with this or other local volunteer projects, call the Volunteer Center at 240-777-2600 or visit their website at www.montgomeryserves.org. And remember, as a volunteer, you can make a difference.